In Buddhism, as you know, we often talk about Hinayana and Mahayana, but it's more preferable to say Pratimokshayana and Bodhisattvayana. So the Pratimokshayana for the Hinayana, so to say, because the Prati, moksha means individual liberation. Yeah? Prati means individual, moksha means liberation, yana means vehicle. So individual liberation vehicle is a much better term that covers the meaning of those vehicles of the Hinayana, because Hinayana means lesser, right? So the term is not very good in use in general. Same with the Mahayana means more superior. It's also, if you engage in dialogues with people from other traditions, it can create kind of obstacles, or it just doesn't sound nice, so to say. So for the Mahayana, we can use the term Bodhisattvayana. Yeah, so Bodhisattva means body enlightenment. Yeah, Sattva means the person, right? The heroic being that has this bodhicitta in his or her mind, or continuum. And Yana means vehicle, so Bodhisattvayana. Yeah, so that's the two vehicles, right? The solitary, the individual liberation vehicle, or the Pratimokshayana, is motivated renunciation, as you know, the wish to be liberated for oneself, and the Bodhisattvayana is motivated to become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, in order to liberate sentient beings, right? So the Bodhisattvayana is based on bodhicitta, as you know, and that has two aspirations, a causal one and a resultant one. The causal is the compassion aspect, which is the substantial cause for bodhicitta to arise, right? So the compassion aspect is the wish for others to be free of suffering. Yeah, so that's a causal aspiration, because that moves you into the direction. Yeah, you have, with renunciation, you have seen the suffering of samsara yourself by contemplating the various aspects of the Four Noble Truths, right? Particularly the first two truths, and then the various types of suffering, as well as the 12 links. Yeah, you generate a very strong form of renunciation, and in particular, a renunciation that is based on understanding emptiness. Because if you have understood emptiness well, then you understand ignorance better. If you understand ignorance better, you really can look for the possibility to eliminate it. And having understood emptiness, then you also know the possibility to eliminate it. So if you have a good understanding of emptiness, then your wish for liberation will be much more sophisticated. In a similar way, if you have a good understanding of emptiness, your wish of compassion will be much more sophisticated. As Chandakirti mentioned in his text on Supplement to the Middle Way, for example, very clearly, then in the beginning of the text, he doesn't praise the Buddha, he doesn't praise emptiness, which is the main topic to be discussed, but he discussed great compassion. Because great compassion is the root, so to say, or the substantial cause for bodhicitta to arise, and based on bodhicitta you enter the paths of the Bodhisattvayana, and then you eventually achieve enlightenment. And then also Chandakirti indicates that among the three types of compassion, the compassion that understands or realizes, in this case, emptiness is the most profound one. Yeah, you have compassion merely looking at the suffering of others, right? And you have the compassion of having realized subtle impermanence, and then looking at the compassion with compassion to the suffering of others. That is more sophisticated, because you see every split second beings are suffering, you know. But then if you have the realization of emptiness, then your compassion becomes much more sophisticated, because the compassion is a wish for others to be free of suffering. And if you understand the cause of suffering being this ignorance, and this ignorance can be eliminated with perception or realization of emptiness, that implies that the compassion becomes stronger. And also in the ninth chapter of Shantideva Bodhisattva Charivatara, for example, the first verse is also related in the commentaries with, if you understand emptiness, then automatically it says almost compassion will increase. Yeah, it's not the realization of emptiness causes that to happen, but that experience you get out of the realization of emptiness, when you come out of that realization, then you contemplate compassion again, and it becomes stronger. And that's also why Chandakirti indicates that as the most superior form of compassion. Yeah, so the compassion is one substantial cause, the substantial cause for bodhicitta to arise, and the causal aspiration. And then the resultant aspiration is the wish to achieve enlightenment for that purpose, right? So we often say that one aspect is focused upon the suffering of sentient beings, and the other aspect is focused upon the Buddhahood to be accomplished, and Buddhahood can only be accomplished after having generated bodhicitta and having realized emptiness. So there's two aspirations in bodhicitta. One is the causal of great compassion, and one is the resultant one of one to become a Buddha in order to accomplish that purpose. Yeah, so that's a distinction between the two vehicles, right? So the Pratimokshayana or individual liberation vehicle. Yeah, there's two. Yeah, there's the hearer vehicle and the solitary realizer vehicle. Yeah, so the hearer and the solitary realizer vehicle, both of those two vehicles, you enter them if you have an uncontrived form of renunciation. So if you really contemplated the suffering so well that day and night, even in your dreams, you have the wish to get out of samsara and achieve liberation, right? So that comes by the power of habituation. Initially, we struggle with our meditations, and initially we have wrong views, as we discussed before, and then the wrong view is being challenged by doubt, and this doubt becomes over time a correct assumption. So many of our, or most likely, most of our Lamrim meditations are these kind of correct assumptions, right? And then that has to move into a realization of inference. Yeah. So when we talk about the renunciation in an uncontrived form, or the realization of renunciation, means this kind of inference that has been generated, or this kind of subsequent cognizer that has been generated, right? That is incontrovertible with regard to its object. So that's what we call a realization in general, the incontrovertible aspect, as we discussed a few times previously. So the incontrovertible aspect is the aspect of realization, as we talk about the realization of renunciation, or the realization of bodhicitta. Yeah? So for bodhicitta, that you have this wish for all sentient beings to be free of suffering and want to achieve enlightenment for that purpose, in an uncontrived way, that means that bodhicitta is spontaneous day and night, without really, any interruption or any forms of not. It is always manifest. If not manifest, is dormant, right? So it's a kind of spontaneous. You don't have to put effort anymore. If you have this incontrovertible realization of an object, yeah, as we talked about inference or subsequent cognizers, right? That you have this incontrovertible aspect, which is very strong. So that's what we call a kind of uncontrived, or you don't need to put much more effort anymore, because it's a part of yourself. It's kind of an experience that is with you day and night.